All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Football for Fun. This is our weekly college football stream. We are doing rankings, reactions, and predictions every week. We may or may not, just an announcement here, may or may not be moving this stream to Mondays in the future. I think that would be more appropriate to get reactions out of the way. I've not actually been able to do reactions to the games that have unfolded prior, so this will be my first time actually doing that on this stream. Previously, we've only done reactions to the AP rankings and then doing my own rankings and then doing my predictions. So we got a whole lot to cover tonight because this past weekend in college football was crazy. Just absolutely crazy. A lot going on there. We're going to get all the way into it. Going to examine the top 25 games here because I picked the top 25 games last week. Top 25 teams playing, I picked the games. I went 12-3 in my predictions last week, so I feel pretty good about that. I don't normally do that well, I'm not going to lie. That's way better than I normally do. So we're going to go through these here. I've got them pulled up. We had BYU taking on West Virginia. BYU won by a score of 38-24. I mean, BYU, I feel like they're going to be like they were last year. They're going to win a bunch of games due to playing down a lot. Like, they're better than most of these teams that they're playing, and credit where it's due. They're winning these games. I don't think that they're actually that good, though, you know? I think they're going to end up with a few losses when all is said and done, but so far, they're winning all their games. They're undefeated. They deserve to be ranked right now, so good job, BYU. We'll see if you guys can keep it up. Nice win over West Virginia. Keep it rolling. We also had Michigan taking on Wisconsin. I didn't really see a way for Wisconsin to win this game, and it went about as you'd expect, 24-10 win for Michigan. Not really a whole lot to say in that one, just Michigan controlled the game. Really boring. I didn't pay much attention to it. We don't have to speak a whole lot about it. Just imagine how you think that game would go. Yeah, that's how it went. So next, you had Illinois taking on Purdue, and we said Purdue has been a lot more interesting than we expected. They've been putting up a fight more often than not, but they're still not that good of a team. And Illinois, apparently they're just really good on offense. I dissed them a few weeks ago when they got blown out by Indiana. I just thought their offense wasn't good. I had them losing to USC a week later thinking, their offense can't keep up, and then they did. And then here they are hanging 43 on Purdue. That Illini offense is actually pretty decent, it looks like, so good for them. Their defense, though, is not as good as I expected it to be from what it seems. Indiana, I know they're really good, but they hung 63 points on them, so obviously your defense can't be good if you give up that many points. And then you got Purdue putting up 27. I don't know, maybe Purdue's offense is just really good this year? I don't know about that. Purdue is fighting hard, though. I respect that. Good to see out of a rebuilding program. Illinois won by 16 points. They're a potential playoff threat if they just win out. I don't think they get in at 10-2. That 53-point loss is going to come back to bite them. But they're a team to watch out for just in case. They get Ohio State this weekend. That's going to say a lot about them. We'll see. Next up, Georgia taking on Kentucky. You know, that's my team, Georgia. I'm a big Georgia fan. I don't have a lot to say about this game. I mean, Kentucky, I'm sorry, you guys. They're the worst team in the SEC right now. I don't take a lot from beating them. I hope their fans are doing all right. Looking forward to basketball season. But, yeah, winning that game didn't move the needle for me. We've got tougher games coming up that I hope we are ready for. So, yeah. Good game, Kentucky. You only lost by 21, so that was about what was expected. So you didn't, you met expectations, you'll take that. Yeah, just sorry, Kentucky. The next one is the first one I missed. It was Iowa State at Cincinnati. Now, we did mention Cincinnati was favored into this game, which I found very curious because we're treating Iowa State like they are a top 20 team. I know they earned that ranking, but some people were way too high on them, way higher than they should have been. And then they went, and the final score does not show you what that game really was. The final score was 38-30. Cincinnati wins, but that was a complete blowout. Cincinnati was up a ton of points until late in the game. Iowa State kind of rallied, but Cincinnati was never in real danger. They dominated that game, and they deserve to be ranked. So, big win for Cincinnati. You better start taking them seriously. They might be a threat in the Big 12. Right now, they are. They're undefeated in Big 12 play. So, big shout out to Cincinnati. Iowa State, I've said for weeks, they deserve to be ranked, but I don't trust them. They're going to lose to a team you would think they shouldn't lose to, and, well, I would argue that Cincinnati is a team that they shouldn't be losing to. Unranked Cincinnati taking on a ranked Iowa State team. That's the loss they shouldn't have taken. So, it doesn't matter who was favored in the odds. Iowa State, you shouldn't take that loss. It's going to come back to hurt you. Moving on, though, speaking of losses you should not take, who saw this coming, man? You had Penn State at UCLA. I'm pretty sure in my predictions last week, I didn't even really talk about it. I think all I had to say was Penn State's going to win this game, and I promptly moved on. My bad, I guess. I mean, I don't feel bad about it. I would make the same prediction over and over again. 99 times out of 100, I'm going to say Penn State's going to win this game, even after seeing that result. So that's baffling to me. I do not understand what we saw. Just congrats, UCLA. That's amazing that you guys won this game. I was expecting a blowout. I would have been surprised if you told me it was close before the game. I would have been surprised if you told me the game was going to be close. I could not have foreseen that. Just outstanding game from UCLA. Their offense was elite. Penn State just couldn't get the stops. I think UCLA punted one time in this game. Makes no sense. A lot of the times when an upset happens, I know any team can win on any given Sunday against anyone. That's how the college football works, and it's amazing. But truly, who could have predicted UCLA's win? There's always something you can see going, okay, I could see how this upset could happen, and we'll get to that pretty soon with the Florida-Texas game. But with Penn State UCLA, there was no hidden factor. There's no way you could see an upset based on what we'd seen. UCLA had been the worst team the worst power team in college football this season. There was not really much of a debate there. They had been abysmal, just completely terrible. They got blown out by, I want to say, New Mexico earlier this season. They've gotten blown out by a couple other teams they shouldn't be getting blown out by, but there's no reason to think UCLA stood a chance in this game. And yet, they won 42-37. Penn State, you guys should have been a lock for the playoffs this year. The schedule you had, you should have been able to beat up on the teams below you. You take your losses to Oregon and Ohio State, and it's fine. As long as you go 10-2, you're in. I'm not convinced anymore. I mean, if they win out, I guess they probably get in because they beat Ohio State and Indiana to do that, but yeah, no, this is terrible for Penn State. I cannot imagine they win out. They should lose to Ohio State. I'm probably going to pick Indiana to beat them based on what we've seen so far. Heck, I was already thinking about picking Nebraska to beat them later this season. I might end up doing that. It is terrible, man. It is absolutely terrible right now for Penn State. They are unranked in the AP poll, one of the few times they got something right. Not going to lie. Credit where it's due. UCLA, congratulations. That's a huge win for you guys. Your offensive coordinator, you better keep him around. He looks like a winner. I think that's his first time calling a game, but looks like he knew what he was doing. A star may have been born there. So, congratulations, UCLA. Penn State, I don't know what to say to you. Just fire Franklin, honestly. My take for Franklin is you write it out for the rest of the year with him, because what are you going to gain from firing him right now? The Penn State head coaching job is going to be the most attractive job opening in all the nation if you fire him this offseason. Once your season ends, you can let him go. But write it out with him, see if he can somehow turn things around. Very slim chance of that happening, but it's a better chance than you firing him and then winning out. So write it out with Franklin, see if somehow it works out. And when it inevitably doesn't, then you can fire him, and you can probably get most anyone you want. So I wouldn't worry. You'll get a good replacement for next year, and we'll see if things change for the better. Yep, embarrassing loss for Penn State, but we'll move on here to another loss that is seen as embarrassing. You got number 9 Texas at Florida. First of all, they should not have been ranked 9th. We've talked about this extensively for the past few weeks. I haven't had Texas in my top 25 in weeks. They haven't deserved it in weeks. The AP poll was just being pathetic and abiding by their preseason ranking, and also just looking at that Texas logo and going, yeah, they belong in the top 10. Absolutely pathetic. They did the right thing dropping them out of the rankings this week. I was shocked that they did it. Yeah, Texas was obviously overrated coming into this game. I think every football fan who was paying attention really knew that. Florida, though, most people were still calling you crazy to say Florida could win this game. I don't really know why. You looked at these games coming into the game. They're both really good on defense, and they're both really bad on offense with quarterbacks who cannot live up to the hype. At least thus far, that's been the case. That's what I said last week. They're very similar teams, and Texas had to be exposed at some point. It happened here against Florida. And Florida, they had a receiver come back. I forget his name. I want to say it's Dallas Wilson. I didn't name him specifically last week. I referenced him saying they get their freshman receiver back. Honestly, I'm going to pat myself on the back here because I don't get to do this very often, but I called this one pretty well. Very similar teams. Florida had the receiver coming back. They would get better quarterback play. They're at home. They won the game. And the result was never really in doubt. Florida jumped out to an early lead, and Texas just couldn't really come all the way back. So, good job, Florida. You keep Billy Napier for longer than you should now. That's great. As a Georgia fan, I love that. Texas, you're just not back this year. I mean, you are. You're back to being mediocre, but you're not back. You're not a contender this year. A lot's going to have to change on offense. Maybe, stop starting Manning. He's clearly not a good quarterback. I hate to say it after all that hype, but he's not a good quarterback. So Texas, you're, as they say these days, you're cooked. Florida, you are also cooked, but at least you can enjoy this win. And for any Texas fans who say, yeah, we went to the Swamp, it's a hard place to play, I don't really care. South Florida went to the Swamp and beat the Gators. You're telling me South Florida can do it, but you can't? Come on. I don't think that's a great excuse this year, given what's already happened on the field. But yes, the Swamp is still a tough place to play. We can acknowledge that, but not the greatest excuse to use right now. We'll move on from that. We got Alabama taking on Vandy, their big bad bully from a season ago. Man, Pavia talked so much crap in the offseason. He talked so much crap coming into the game. Pre-game, he was like practicing victory formation kneel downs and stuff. Like, that's absolutely wild. And it's really funny, not gonna lie. I don't really know why the entire nation kind of gives Pavia a pass for that sort of stuff. But, yeah, you gotta chill, man. But look, if you do what you gotta do to motivate your team, I can respect that. But it definitely backfired here. Pavia could not carry Vandy in the offense. They jumped out to an early lead, 7-0. Bama fought back 7-7. Vandy took the lead again, 14-7. And that was it. That was the last they scored. Now, the final score says 30-14 here, FYI. It's closer than that. Bama honestly ran up the score. They scored a late game touchdown. And I'm not going to hate on them for it. I mean, with all the crap Pavia was talking and having to hear about that loss for the past year, I get it. Add on to the final score. But this game was a close game for a while. Vandy hung in there. They are a good team, so don't disrespect Vandy here. They're very good. Alabama's just more talented, and they were the better team in that game. So, not really a surprising result. Bama went in for revenge, and they got it. They have a very interesting game this week, so we'll see how that goes. Next up, Virginia at Louisville. This game was pretty interesting. How is Texas 4? I assume you mean 7, or wait, no, that's 9. I don't know. Yeah, this was last week, so on Yahoo where I'm using this, it's not updated. They're unranked right now, fortunately. They shouldn't have been ranked where they were last week either, though. So yeah, they got exposed. Fortunately, and welcome to the stream, Daniel. How's it going? But Virginia at Louisville surprised me pregame with the knowledge that Louisville was favored by nearly a touchdown. It was at Louisville, so I get them being favored or it being a pick'em, basically. But Virginia was a ranked team. They're coming off a win against Florida State. It was like people were just not acknowledging that they are a good team after beating FSU. I think most people in the nation, including the AP poll, said, okay, Florida State lost, so they're bad. Fine, I guess, but what does that say about Alabama, who you promptly moved into the top 10 because you could? Inconsistent, but whatever. And then Virginia shows up and beats Louisville. They should be getting a lot of respect this week. Those are two of the best teams in the ACC. They've beaten back-to-back in overtime. Virginia looks like a legitimate ACC contender. I don't think they're a playoff contender. I don't even think they make the playoffs. But the schedule they have, they should be able to get to the ACC championship. If they don't, it'd be a little disappointing. But honestly, I'm just glad to see them playing winning football right now. Chandler Morris is balling out at quarterback. Their defense is doing enough. Their run game has been really good. It wasn't as productive against Louisville. They kind of shut that down, and yet they still made plays to get the win. So Virginia put some respect on their name. They got the win against Louisville in overtime. I'm liking that story a lot. Everyone, you should be rooting for them because that's a lot of fun. Your brain is weird. I saw the game was October 4th and wrote 4th. Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Notre Dame against Boise State was kind of predictable, 28-7. The only surprise to me was Notre Dame didn't score more points. Not much to say about that one, just really predictable. Notre Dame should probably be favored to win out and be a playoff team when all is said and done. They're still a very good team. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to have them ranked yet, and I've made a lot of Notre Dame fans mad about that, but so be it. You got to make somebody mad if you're going to do rankings. But yeah, Notre Dame looking really good ever since those opening season losses to two very good teams. Boise State, your season in terms of the playoffs is over. You're not getting in as a two-loss team. But, oh well, you should probably be able to win the Mountain West at least. Oklahoma at Kent State, we do not need to talk about. Oklahoma State won Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma State would have lost this game somehow. Oklahoma won 44-0, so kind of a nothing burger there. Played Kent State, nothing to say. Texas Tech at Houston. You got to go, though. Wish I could say more. All right, sounds good. Take care, man. Texas Tech at Houston. We were going to find out how good Houston really is, or at least that was the thought, because Houston came into this game undefeated, and you're thinking, okay, they've not really beaten anyone. That's why I hadn't ranked them yet. Their offense doesn't look very good, but their defense is very stingy. Texas Tech put 35 points on them. I think that's notable, because Houston defense really has been a good unit so far this year, but Texas Tech's offense, really good unit. Really good unit, and their defense is pretty solid as well. Holding Houston to 11 points, I'm not going to say is super impressive or anything, because, again, I just said Houston's offense has not been that good this year. But still, holding a team to that low of a score is worth mentioning, and the Tech defense has been really good this year. Their offense has been really good this year. They are passing the eye test with flying colors, so I view them very highly right now. Their only really good win is against Utah, and I don't have Utah ranked right now, but they are 4-1, I believe, and they look really good aside from the Texas Tech game, so I'm going to say that's a quality win for now. Texas Tech, I believe they are a Big 12 team that should be able to win that conference, and I think they're capable of winning a playoff game too. I think they have the roster that gives them the ability to do that. I think they're a very well-coached team. I think that entire locker room really believes and they buy in. Watch out for the Red Raiders, man. They're not losing 2 games this regular season. I feel confident predicting that. I could be wrong, I guess. This might backfire, but I believe they're going 11-1 in the regular season at worst. So, good for them. We'll come back to Miami, Florida State. I have thoughts on that. The next 2, I don't have a lot to say. Ohio State at Minnesota. Minnesota struck first, and then Ohio State valiantly fought back to make the comeback win. 42 unanswered points. Yeah, not much to say. Ohio State still looks elite. So, Minnesota, yikes. Sorry, you guys. That's terrible. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Now, I had Mississippi State ranked going into this game because they deserve to be ranked. I don't care what the AP poll says. It was a crime they were not ranked. They had Arizona State ranked, but not Mississippi State, who beat Arizona State. Whatever. Texas A&M, though, yeah, this is a quality win for them. Mississippi State is a very good team. They're not ranked anymore by me, I'll say that, and they don't deserve to be ranked right now with 2 losses, but this is a very good Mississippi State team that they beat, and they beat them handedly, 31-9. I'm impressed. That's one of the best performances we've seen all around by Texas A&M this season. The offense was clicking. The defense was clicking. If you see this from Texas A&M every week, they might win out. Genuinely, they might win out. They are a very good team. I know they have the battered Aggie syndrome thing going on, so they might choke late in the year. I don't know. This Texas A&M team so far feels different. Like, they went and beat Notre Dame early in the season. They eked out a close win against a stingy Auburn team, and now they beat up on what has been a very good Mississippi State team. I mean, gig 'em Aggies. You guys are looking good. You guys better make it to the playoffs this year, honestly. You should not lose more than 2 regular season games. And then the last one here, I mean, I think most people watch this game to some degree, or at least check the final score. Miami at Florida State. Florida State home field advantage. I was the fool who picked Florida State to win. My bad. Shouldn't have done that. And it wasn't because I was hating on Miami. I just thought, Florida State needs this win after losing to Virginia, and it's at home, and I don't know. I had a feeling about it, and my feelings were off. Miami showed up. At one point, they led 28-3. Funny number. 28-3, terrible for Florida State. It seemed like their offense was really playing well that first drive. They got held to a field goal, and then they just couldn't do anything after that until garbage time. The final score being 28-22 is a little bit deceiving. Garbage time touchdowns really made it closer. But no, Miami controlled this game completely, and they look like the best team in the nation right now, or at least they have the best resume by far in the nation. So we'll see if they can win out, because they don't play anyone tough the rest of the year, I don't believe. I think they should be heavy favorites in every remaining game. They already played their tough games. They played Notre Dame. Even Florida is fairly tough. South Florida has been a good team. Florida State's a good team. Goodness, man. Miami's gotten through all of their toughest battles, and it's only easier games from here on out. So Miami, they ought to be 13-0 heading into the playoffs. We'll see what they do after that. That's where I'm more interested. What do they do once they get to the playoffs? Because they seem like a lock at this point. Don't want to jinx it, but who else is going to beat them in that conference? The ACC altogether seems pretty weak. But we'll find out. But I don't really have much else to react to based on the Week 6 results. It was a pretty wild week. We had the 2 biggest upsets, both in the top 10, Texas and Penn State going down. But as you know, I didn't view Texas as a top 25 team, so I don't even view it as an upset. Like, I picked Florida and was confident, fairly confident at least. Penn State losing to UCLA is just hysterical, honestly. Who could have, in their sane mind, predicted that? Who could have seen that coming and felt confident in seeing it coming? Absurd upset. That's what college football's all about, though. Now, after all those results, we're going to take a look at the AP rankings, and I got this graphic from Fox College Football, so just pointing that out. Yeah, I've got some thoughts on the AP rankings. First off, I will give credit where it's due. They did not rank Texas, and they did not rank Penn State. Well done, AP poll. You did the right thing. It was probably because the entire internet would have bullied them relentlessly if they had ranked either of those teams, but still, they did the right thing. They're also right outside the rankings, so they have an excuse to rank them next week if they can, so be ready to be enraged by that if you're an AP poll hater. But yeah, I do still have some issues with it. Ohio State at 1, Miami at 2, Oregon at 3, Ole Miss at 4, A&M at 5, OU at 6, Indiana at 7. Like, I'm fine with all of that. I think that's fine. I'm going to have the order different for sure, but I mean, those 7 teams in some order is definitely correct. Bama at 8, I disagree with. I know they've got 2 quality wins over Vandy and Georgia now, so they should be above Georgia. Don't worry, I'm not about to say that Georgia should be higher somehow. It's Texas Tech I have a problem with here. I think, why is Texas Tech above Georgia but not Bama? You got Tech undefeated. The eye test says that they're one of the best teams in the nation. The stats say it. They have a quality win over Utah, and yes, that counts as a quality win right now. I know Utah hasn't technically beaten anyone good, but they are also blowing teams out. They look as good as Tech, except for the Tech game. I believe Utah's a good team, and I'm going to say for now that's a quality win. I don't know why Bama is above them. They have a loss to Florida State, and I mean, the AP poll still has Florida State ranked. I was a little surprised that they did that. I will credit them on that later. I think Bama should be below Texas Tech. I think you put the undefeated team higher. Undefeated team with a good win. But whatever. Bama higher. I mean, it's the difference of 1 spot. I only have them 1 spot apart myself, so whatever. Tech at 9, too low by 1 spot. Georgia at 10, I think might be... I mean, it's fine. It's not a big deal. LSU at 11 is a little high. Tennessee at 12, fine. Georgia Tech at 13. I've got a problem with that. Not because I'm hating on Tech, my rival. I don't even hate Georgia Tech that much, to be completely honest. But I don't see why they should be 13. I get it, they're undefeated, but where's their win? You know, their best win is probably 2-3 Clemson, and I'm not going to count that as a quality win right now. They're 2-3. They've not looked like a good team. So until they actually look like a good team and have the record to back that up, I'm not going to say that's a quality win. Now, a few weeks ago, I had Georgia Tech ranked at 10th after they beat Clemson, because at the time, we could call Clemson a good win. And then Clemson went and lost to Syracuse, and they were 1-3, and it's like, okay, we can't call that a good win anymore, or else we got to rank Syracuse, which we didn't. Yeah, Georgia Tech's undefeated, so they deserve to be ranked, in my opinion. And the Clemson win holds some value, at least. That's why I have them above BYU in my rankings, both undefeated teams who haven't beaten anyone that good. But Clemson, if we did power rankings, they'd be top 25 most likely. So I'll say that. They beat a good roster on paper, but Clemson is not a very good team. I'm not going to say that's a high-quality win. So I think 13 is a little high. I'm going to have them lower. Mizzou at 14, I question why Mizzou is below Georgia Tech right now. Georgia Tech beat Clemson. Great. Good for you. Missouri's beaten Kansas, and they've beaten South Carolina. Those are both better wins than Georgia Tech has over Clemson. You can call me crazy for that, but Kansas and South Carolina right now are better wins than Clemson. It is what it is. That may change in the coming weeks. I don't know. It probably will. With South Carolina's schedule, that probably will lose value pretty quickly. But right now, Missouri has 2 wins that are better than Georgia Tech's best win, and Missouri passes the eye test very well, unlike Georgia Tech. So, kind of baffles me that they're that low. Seems a little bit disrespectful. I also don't know why Mizzou is below 1-loss Tennessee and 1-loss LSU. I mean, LSU hasn't done anything. Their best win is against Clemson, which, by the way, Georgia Tech maybe should be above LSU for that reason, since they both have the same best win, but LSU has a loss. I don't know. That's up to you. Missouri should be a few spots higher, though, for being undefeated and having 2 solid wins to fall back on, unlike these teams ahead of them with losses and, in Georgia Tech's case, no really good wins. Michigan at 15, I'm fine with. Notre Dame at 16, I mean, I'm not going to complain too much. It's really, with Notre Dame, it's just a difference of opinion and how you should rank teams. Personally, I don't have them ranked. I have them right outside my rankings. The difference between 26 and, 25 is just a label, top 25 label. That's the only real difference. Notre Dame has the 2 very close losses to Miami and Texas A&M, both in the AP's top 5. They're both in my top 5. So that's great and all, but they haven't beaten anyone that good, if we're being honest, and they have 2 losses. And I do not want to rank 2-loss teams right now at this point in the season when there are other teams who have wins, and good wins at that, and only 1 loss or 0 losses that I can rank instead, because I want to value the wins while I can. I am going to respect quality losses, but I don't want that to be such a big factor that a 2-loss team gets in over a 1-loss team with a good win, or an undefeated team. Like Notre Dame at 16, they're above undefeated BYU, and I think BYU should be above them based on the fact that they're undefeated. And yeah, if they swap schedules, BYU would not be undefeated. I get that. But for right now, I don't believe Notre Dame has earned a number 16 ranking, and I believe they will earn it. In my opinion, they're probably going to win out. But right now, I'm not projecting with rankings. I don't think the AP should either. Right now, Notre Dame, I don't believe deserves that high of a ranking. We can agree to disagree on this one, though. I'm not going to hate too much on it just because I think this one comes down to your opinion on how it should be done, and maybe this is one I'm wrong on. I don't know. In the coming weeks, it will correct itself as they keep gaining wins. They'll go higher in my rankings. Illinois at 17, way too high. It's like we're just all forgetting that they lost by 53 points to number 7 Indiana, which, by the way, if you're going to rank Illinois 17th, Indiana needs to be in your top 3. Honestly, that win needs to hold more weight. It's not like they beat them by 3. They didn't beat them by 10. They beat them by 53 points. And you're saying that they're only 10 spots apart? I mean, come on. That doesn't seem right at all. I still have Illinois ranked myself, but 17 is too high. 17 is ridiculous. BYU at 18, I don't have much of a problem with that specifically on its own. Virginia at 19, I think, is a little bit too low. I'll talk about them in my rankings, though. Vandy at 20, fine. Arizona State at 21. I don't have too much of a problem with it. I'll jump to Memphis, South Florida, and Florida State. I'm fine with that. They're the last 3 teams in the AP's rankings. I think they're the last team in my rankings, too, but we'll reveal that momentarily. Iowa State at 22. I'll say this. I do not have them ranked. I don't think that they should be ranked. I don't believe it. They don't really have any good wins. Their best win is Iowa. Great, that's a solid win, I grant you that, but in my opinion, they should be out of the rankings because there's a team that beat them with the same record as them and with a better resume that deserves to be ranked ahead of them, and that is Cincinnati. It baffles me that Cincinnati is not ranked here instead of Iowa State, and if you want to dig further, I believe Nebraska should be ranked too because Nebraska beat Cincinnati, so I believe that has to matter. They have the same record, and Nebraska has a good loss to a good Michigan team. Nebraska should be ranked above Cincinnati, and Cincinnati should be ranked above Iowa State. Now, if you find a way to still keep Iowa State in the rankings, fine. If you think that they have a top 25 resume and they earned it, then fine. That's okay. I can get behind that if you give me a good argument. Personally, I had 25 more teams that were more deserving than Iowa State, so I don't have them ranked. I do have Nebraska and Cincinnati ranked, though, which will bring me to my rankings. We'll go through this here. I stand corrected. Florida State, USF, Memphis, not my last 3 teams. I had Illinois at 25. So I have Miami at 1. I've had them at 1 for weeks because they had the best resume in the nation a few weeks ago. They still do. I don't really know how that's up for debate. They have they have a win against Notre Dame. Very good win. Even though I don't have them in my top 25, that's obviously, we all acknowledge that is a very good win. And you don't need to be a top 25 team for the win to be considered quality. Just because you're 25th doesn't mean, just because you're not top 25 doesn't mean it's not a quality win. Are you going to say that you beat the 26th best team in the nation? They're ranked 26th, but they don't have that label by their name, so they don't count as a quality win? I think that's absolute crap. So not going to do that here. If you're number 26, which is, I believe that's where I have Notre Dame, still a quality win. All right, that's how it goes here. So Miami beat Notre Dame. They beat South Florida by a ton of points, and I have South Florida ranked. They beat Florida for what it's worth, and I know they're 2-3. It doesn't mean a lot, but I mean that win looks a little bit better after they beat Texas for whatever that's worth. For all you Texas lovers, I'm just saying. And Miami beat up on Florida State. Final score a bit misleading. Miami's a very good team. They look very complete. Defense this year is outstanding. I was hating on their defense all offseason, saying they were just going to be the same team as last year. I was wrong. I admit that. I was wrong about that defense. Ruben Bain is an absolute beast, and he's going to be a star on Sundays someday. Carson Beck, not as good as Cam Ward was for this offense last year, but he's doing enough. Miami is currently the most deserving team of the number 1 spot. They have the best resume. I don't think it's close. Number 2, Texas A&M. I think that they easily have the second best resume right now. Now, no one else seems to agree with that. Everyone else has the Aggies a bit lower. I don't think I've seen them in the top 4 from anyone. Someone point that out if I'm just missing it. But the Aggies, they got a win against Notre Dame as well. Very good win, obviously very good win. They picked up a win against Auburn last week, and I know Auburn's a 2-loss team, and I know we're going to make jokes about Auburn, but on this channel, we respect them. They're 3-2 right now with I believe 3-2, with a very good win over Baylor, and close losses to 2 of my top 4 teams, Oklahoma and A&M. Very close losses, very winnable games. So I respect Auburn. I think that they count as a quality win right now. It may change if they keep losing games, but right now, 3-2 Auburn, close losses to top teams, very good. And if we're being honest, you could argue they have a better resume than Notre Dame, but I'm not here to do that. A&M at 2, and they picked up a win against Mississippi State this week as well. Dominant win. I think they have the second best resume in the nation. So I got them at 2. Indiana at 3. I know they're coming off a bye week. Their high ranking is a product of Illinois being a ranked team, and in my opinion, deservedly so, with a quality win over USC. Indiana beat them by 53 points, and unlike the AP poll, I think that has to matter more than just beating any other ranked team by a field goal or a touchdown. Like, you beat them by 53. That's one of the most impressive wins over a ranked team that anyone has. According to me, Florida State's win against Alabama is the highest ranked win. Great. I might argue that Indiana's 53-point win over Illinois is more impressive. I don't know why we're kind of glossing over that. I've got Indiana at 3 for that win, and they have a solid second win against Iowa, so it's not like that Illinois is their only decent win. Iowa is a solid team. Oklahoma at 4. A lot of people want to drop them because John Mateer is injured. I'm not going to drop them until the play on the field goes down. I mean, they beat up on Kent State just like most teams would. I'm not going to worry about them yet. If they lose to Texas this week, obviously I will drop them. If they beat Texas this week, why would I drop them? I mean, they still have the resume that backs it up. If they're playing winning football without their starting quarterback, I think that's a good sign anyway. So Oklahoma deserves to be at 4 right now. Very good win over Michigan. They have a good win over Auburn as well. 4 seems like a good spot. Ole Miss, they got a win against LSU. They have a dominant win over a good Tulane team. I got them at 5 here. Ohio State, some people are going to have a problem with this. A lot of people might believe they should be higher. I think everyone has them at 1 or 2. Their best win is against Texas, we think. Honestly, Washington might be a better win right now. Honestly. But most people would say their best win is against Texas, who is no longer ranked and just got beaten up by Florida. Well, they lost to Florida, who is not good. Their next best win is Washington. So those are 2 decent wins. But if you stack the resumes, I don't believe it's as good as Ole Miss. I don't believe it's as good as Oklahoma. Definitely not as good as Miami and A&M. You can compare it to Indiana. I'm still going to give Indiana the edge because of that 53-point win over Illinois. I'm giving that a lot of respect. So Ohio State's at 6 because of not as good of a resume, even though I believe they probably just win out. Honestly, they probably will win out, or 11-1, and they're going to be a playoff team. They're one of the best teams in the nation, but we're ranking based on what has happened, not what will happen. So right now, based on merit, mostly, I've got Ohio State at 6. Oregon, similarly, is at 7 because their resume is not as good. In fact, it also took a big hit this week with Penn State losing to UCLA. That happened. That really happened. Penn State lost to UCLA, so I'm not sure how much of a quality win Oregon really has there, but it is their best win. The next best win is Oklahoma State? Northwestern? I don't know. The resume is lacking there, and it does not matter that, in my opinion, Oregon is the best team in the nation this year. Doesn't matter. That has to go out the window here, because I'm not projecting. Alright, I'm doing this based on what's happened, so I've got Oregon at 7, with only 1 good win, if we're going to count Penn State, and I think we can probably count them as a decent win. That's a good roster, at least. Texas Tech at 8, I've talked about already. I mean, beat up on a good Utah team a few weeks ago. They ended Houston's perfect season this past weekend. They look dominant until they show signs of being human and, losing to someone or playing a close game against an inferior opponent. I'm going to keep ranking them high. And even then, I might rank them high. They deserve it right now. Missouri, somewhat similar story. They're passing the eye test very well. They played a close game against Kansas, who I believe is a good team. They're 4-2 right now. I think Kansas is good. And I don't blame them for playing close against them. That's a rivalry game. And honestly, they should have won by much more than they did based on the box score. It was just a weird game. I don't think officiating was very good. But anyway, Missouri's got a good win over Kansas, a good win over South Carolina. I got them at 9. I don't think those wins are amazing or anything, but I think those are top 40 teams. Top 40 teams, so somewhat good wins. Not top 25 wins, but top 40 wins. That's something. It's more than some of these teams have. So I got Missouri at 9. Yes, above Alabama, who they play this weekend. Alabama at 10. I mean, look, they have quality wins over Vanderbilt and Georgia. That's pretty good. If they were undefeated right now, they'd probably be in my top 3 or 4. I don't know where exactly they'd be, but they have that loss to Florida State. Not looking as good now that they are coming off back-to-back losses, but we still have to acknowledge that loss. It happened, and it was a double-digit loss. And you can argue that they're not the same team that they were in week 1. They've improved. They've fixed some issues. Not against the run. They're still getting run all over, which has me concerned for this weekend. But in any case, they've improved as a team. And if they played again, I'd pick Bama to win. But the result still happened. It happened on the field, and we have to respect that. And it has to factor into their resume. They have a double-digit loss to a reeling Florida State team. I do still have them ranked, though, so I'm not going to dock them as much as you might expect. But I am going to put undefeated Missouri and undefeated Texas Tech above them. But Alabama's my top one-loss team, so you got that going for them. And if they keep winning, then what does it matter anyway? Georgia at 11. I mean, we got a quality win over Tennessee, so in my eyes, we got to be above Tennessee. We only lost to Bama, and I don't like that, but it was a good game at least. I think we're fine at 11. Michigan at 12. I got them higher than others do. I really like the win over Nebraska. I don't think they really have much else to point to, but the Nebraska win is looking better week by week, especially with Nebraska's win over Cincinnati looking better week by week, so we'll get to that soon. Michigan at 12, quality loss to Oklahoma, quality win over Nebraska. I have Tennessee at 13, and you can debate whether or not they belong there. Maybe Tennessee should be at 12 instead of Michigan. I think they have similar enough resumes, like Mississippi State, or Tennessee's best win is Mississippi State, and they have the loss to Georgia, obviously. It came down to me, who would I pick to win the game? And honestly, as of right now, I would probably lean Michigan on a neutral field. I might be wrong for that. I might. If Michigan loses to USC this week, then my take here is going to look really bad. And I hope I'm not proven wrong immediately. But as of right now, I think Michigan's a very good team. Tennessee at 13, I'm fine with. LSU at 14. I don't really know why LSU would be above Tennessee or Michigan. Who is LSU's best win? I'm pretty sure it's Clemson, unless something's changed. I'm pretty sure the best win is Clemson, and last I checked, I don't think Clemson's that good of a team right now, so we should not be giving them that much credit for it. But they are very talented on defense. They only have one loss, and it is to a very good Ole Miss team, so I'm not going to have them too low. 14 feels right at the moment. Virginia at 15, I got them higher than just about everyone else, I believe. They now have two very good wins to fall back on. Florida State is a quality win. I would argue that now one-loss Louisville is a quality win as well. Louisville's a very good team. Not elite, but they're top 40 for sure. Virginia, the only thing holding them back is they lost to NC State, who, for the record, they're 4-2. It's not like they're completely terrible, but they're probably just average. Not an ideal loss to take, but you kind of balance it out with a win over Louisville, and then you have the win over Florida State. I think Virginia deserves to be ranked higher than others are ranking them, so I got them at 15 right now. They will plummet if they lose any of their upcoming games, though, because the ACC is not good altogether. Arizona State at 16, I'm higher than them in the AP poll because I really like the wins over Baylor and TCU, and I like how they've rebounded since the Mississippi State game. I do not have Mississippi State ranked this week. That's the product of taking a second loss. I'm sorry. Arizona State loses to Utah this week. They'll probably drop from my rankings as well. But right now, I think they deserve 16. They have a good loss, and they have two good wins. You could argue they belong above Virginia. I felt better about Virginia. If I predicted a winner, I'd take Virginia, but that's just me. Nebraska at 17, I thought that I'd get a lot of reactions to this on the short I put on the channel. I thought a lot of people would question me a ton over this, but I haven't really had anyone question it. I had more people question me about Texas Tech than Nebraska, so Nebraska at 17, they have a quality loss to Michigan. It was a close game. Michigan outplayed them. They were just the better team. Nebraska now has a quality win over Cincinnati. One loss Cincinnati, who's coming off a beatdown over Iowa State. One loss Iowa State. So I think we have to respect that win. I think Cincinnati beating Iowa State warrants them being ranked, and I think Cincinnati being ranked means Nebraska should be ranked. So I put Nebraska at 17. Their loss to Michigan is really good. Their win over Cincinnati looks really good. And then Cincinnati, I mean, I'm basing it off of their win over Iowa State. And I also noticed they beat Kansas last week, and when that happened, I didn't think much of it. I just thought, okay, that's kind of weird. Weird upset in the Big 12, whatever. But then they doubled down. They beat Iowa State this week, and they were leading huge in that game as well. I think Cincinnati's actually a pretty good team here, so I think we should be respecting them. They could be a dark horse in the Big 12 after all. Didn't really expect that, but here we are. Vandy at 19, I dropped them a little bit after that loss. I think I had them at 10th last week. Yeah, most of this is they don't have that big of a quality win to fall back on. Like, they beat South Carolina handedly, but I also factor in that Lenore Sellers missed most of that game. If he plays that game, I believe it's a lot closer. Vandy probably still wins because I think they're the better team, but I am going to factor that injury in because I think that that's how it should be. If you disagree, so be it. It's a subjective take there, but I believe the injury should factor into that result. I don't mean to punish them for it, but yeah, it's less of a quality win when the opponent's star quarterback was out for most of that game. But Vandy has that win at least, so it counts for something. That's why they're still ranked at 19 instead of lower. They're above these undefeated Georgia Tech and BYU teams. Vandy's have proven they're a very good team. They have a quality loss to Bama. They have a good win over South Carolina. I've heard some others call the Virginia Tech game a quality win. I'm not going to try to fool you like that. I don't believe in that at all. Virginia Tech is clearly not a good team, not a quality win, so yeah, Vandy at 19, we'll see if they can bounce back from the Bama loss. I'll be rooting for them. Georgia Tech at 20, I've already talked about a little bit. Like, their best win's Clemson. I don't think they should be as high as the AP has them, but if you want to give them that much credit for the Clemson win and eking out wins against inferior opponents, then so be it. BYU at 21, they've not really beaten anyone, so I'm not going to put them too high. I hesitated to even rank them, to be honest, but I looked into their schedule, and while they're not beating very good teams, they are at least winning by double digits most of the time. Their only close game in terms of a single-digit win was against Colorado, and I mean, Colorado's feisty at least, so I'll give them that. But yeah, BYU, I think we should rank them for now. If they lose, it's not going to look good because their resume is thin, but so be it. Florida State at 22, they're my only 2-loss team in the rankings, I believe. I still think they should be ranked on account of them having a 14-point win over Alabama. I think that still has to count for something. A lot of people are calling for them to not be ranked. I think it's still earned overall. I mean, who are you going to rank instead of them? You have all these other one-loss teams you could put in here, but they don't really have any wins to fall back on, unlike Florida State. And then you've got these 2-loss teams, and a lot of people were saying Notre Dame should be ranked. Well, you compare Notre Dame and Florida State. They both have 2 quality losses. And yes, I'm counting Virginia as a quality loss. They're top 15 for me. So I'm going to say that's a quality loss. And they lose to my number 1 team. I'm going to say that's a quality loss. But then you look at the wins. Florida State's win over Alabama is the best ranked win anyone has. And I mean that right now. They're the best ranked win anyone's got. So that has to hold something here compared to a team like Notre Dame with no quality wins. That's why Florida State's still ranked for me. That's a really good win, and it has to count for something. They lose again. I mean, you can only fall back on that win for so long. So Alabama, you should be hoping Florida State wins out, though, because otherwise that loss is going to look pretty questionable. South Florida at 23. I kind of flip-flopped them with Memphis. I had Memphis higher last week. I moved South Florida up because I believe their win over Florida gained some value this weekend, a lot of value. Memphis, their best win is Arkansas. South Florida's best win is Florida. I feel like their resumes are really comparable overall. Memphis is undefeated, but I'm just not impressed with them. South Florida, I've been more impressed with. And if it comes down to it, since they're so close, I'm just going to say, who would I pick to win? And it's South Florida without much hesitation. Maybe I'm just overhyping South Florida. We'll find out because they're going to play at some point, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, give me South Florida at 23. I do have Florida State higher because their one common opponent, I believe, has been Miami, and Florida State did put up more of a fight. Both teams basically got beaten up on, but at least Florida State scored enough points to make it close in the end. Illinois at 25. They got a good win over USC. As of right now, that's a good win. So, and their win over Duke is gaining value too. Duke is kind of improving a lot week by week, so good for them. I don't think they're going to stay here long. Spoiler alert, I'm going to pick Ohio State to beat up on them. But yeah, that's it from my top 25. Let me know what I've got wrong here. Let me know what I've got right too. If you're going to hate, also tell me what I've done right at least. And drop your own rankings too. I'm putting my rankings out here at the risk of open criticism, and I accept it. Criticize, but tell me why I'm wrong instead of just hating. And drop your own rankings. Make it fair game, you know? But that's it for my rankings. Now we can move on to my predictions. We've got a huge slate here. And we're starting on Friday night. Cancel your Friday night plans. We got a huge game here. South Florida at North Texas. If you haven't heard, North Texas is undefeated and pretty good this year. This is a conference game. The winner of this game will probably become the favorite in that conference to get the Group of 5 playoff spot. It's pretty much all but concluded that the American Conference is going to get the Group of 5 playoff spot unless they implode and UNLV goes undefeated, I guess, or Old Dominion is a team to watch out for as well if they win out. I believe the winner of the American Conference is going to get that Group of 5 playoff spot. Personally, I think it's going to be South Florida. We'll see, though. This game's going to be really interesting. We're going to see just how good North Texas is. South Florida has played some really tough teams and really tough environments, so I am going to pick South Florida in this game. I think they're just the better team. With North Texas, they've had some impressive games. They've also had some games where they played against inferior opponents and nearly lost. I think they went to overtime with Western Michigan and with Army, and neither of those teams are good this year, so I'm not impressed by that. But North Texas, they could pull the upset here. Watch out for it. Keep an eye on this game, even if you don't want to watch. I'm taking South Florida, though. Potential playoff implications on the line there. Hello, Midnight. Here's a depressing question for you. Which teams could beat the Panthers? Ooh. About 20 of them. Well, I guess every team could beat us except, the Jets and the Saints because they stink, and for the Saints, I'm just biased. See, I did my power rankings earlier. I think I had us at like 24 or 23, so I have us being better than about 8 teams in the league, so I feel like that's pretty good. Definitely better than where we normally are, so hey, we're improving, man. We're winning games that we normally don't win, so any progress we get, we will take it. On to my second game here. It's Florida State against Pittsburgh. Florida State, as we've said, they are reeling right now, 2 straight losses. I'm going to pick them to beat Pittsburgh, though. I think this is definitely a win they have to get. It's at home. Pittsburgh looked impressive last week, running up the score in Boston College, put up 48 points on them. They started a freshman quarterback for the first time, as in it was his first start, and he threw up like 340 yards and 4 touchdowns. Insane debut for him. I think Florida State's defense is going to be up for the challenge here, though. I think Boston College just has a bad defense, and that's why Pitt exploded on offense last week. But, hey, it's one to watch out for. If Florida State loses this game, we can go ahead and just give up on them for the season. But, yeah, they should be able to win this game. Far more interesting game here, Alabama at Missouri. AP poll has them at 14, Missouri that is. I got them in my top 10. I've got Missouri at 9 and Bama at 10. So I have Missouri, based on merit, ranked higher. Does that mean I think they're the better team? If we did power rankings, no. I would have Bama ranked a good bit higher than Missouri. But Missouri's looked impressive this year, and they've got good wins over Kansas and South Carolina. Ordinarily, I would pretty quickly say Alabama should be able to win this game, but when you dive into this matchup, Alabama's main weakness has been against the run. And Missouri, their strength is the run. They have one of the best running backs in the nation, Ahmad Hardy. He could be a Heisman contender if Missouri keeps winning. Previously was on pace to have a better season than Derrick Henry had during his Heisman campaign. So, worth noting. I don't think you're going to hear a lot of people say this, and this might be crazy, and this might backfire tremendously, but it's at Missouri. I believe it's going to be a good game. I'm going to pick Missouri for the upset. I don't feel very confident about it, but I think that Missouri can lean on the run. I think Hardy can have a huge day against that D-line. And I think Vandy, in the Vandy game, they could also lean on the run, but they didn't have the running backs to fully do that, and Pavia made too many mistakes. I think Missouri's quarterback is better than Pavia this year. That's my take, not a popular take, but they quietly have had a really good quarterback there this year. I think that he's going to avoid the turnovers, lean on the run. It's at home for Missouri. It's the signature win they need to get some respect. I'm going to say they get it done. Again, I don't feel great about it, but I don't know. It's a weird year. I'm just going to say it happens. You meant which NCAA teams could beat us? I'm trying to stay on topic. I mean, I'm of the opinion that a college team is never going to be able to beat a pro team except in very rare cases. If you were to match up, all time, you match up the winless Browns or Lions against the 2019 LSU Tigers, maybe then LSU's offense is good enough to score points and make it a game. But I don't think any college teams could beat Carolina. No, I doubt it. Definitely not this year too. I don't think any college team this year is just that elite. The way the college game has changed with NIL and transfers and everything, I don't think any team has the same depth that they used to have. So it makes it a lot harder. I don't know. I would love to see that happen though. See a college team play an NFL team, just exhibition game for fun. See how it would go, so we can have an end to that debate. But I'm guessing we won't get it. Moving on to the next game, it's Ohio State at Illinois. They're overranked at 17 by the AP poll. We discussed that previously. Should not be ranked that high. But I do believe they deserve to be ranked, just barely. I already said I'm taking Ohio State in this game, and I'm going to take them to win by double digits. I feel pretty good about that. I know it's at Illinois. I know their offense has been playing well, but I don't trust them against this Ohio State defense. They might have the best defense in the nation. They are playing like it, at least. And Illinois' defense, as I previously said, they have not been as good as we expected. Purdue put 27 on them last week. I feel pretty confident Ohio State can score more points than Purdue did last week. So give me the Buckeyes in this one pretty confidently. It'd be a shocking upset. Mississippi against Washington State, you're going to take Ole Miss there. They should win by a ton. Trinidad Chambliss should have another huge day, assuming he's the starter. Georgia Tech against Virginia Tech. Now, I've talked a little about Georgia Tech and how the AP poll has overranked them at 13. I mean, their only good win is at Clemson, and that's not really a good win right now. Virginia Tech, they fired their coach, and they've been playing better football since then. They shouldn't be able to beat Georgia Tech. I could see this being a weird game where it happens. If it were at Virginia Tech, I'd be way more tempted to take the upset here. But I am going to go with the favorite here in Georgia Tech. I think they should be able to get it done. Next game, Iowa State at Colorado. As I said a moment ago when I was talking about BYU, in my rankings, Colorado has been feisty. They're the one team that played them close. I think Colorado's 2-3, if I'm not mistaken. They're tough to evaluate because they look like they could be good and they look like they could be terrible. Iowa State also, they've been very solid. They've been exactly what I've said all season. They're going to be 8-4, 9-3 type team like they always are. They're going to lose to teams they shouldn't lose to. Originally, I was planning to pick the upset here, because I had Iowa State beating Cincinnati last week and then losing at Colorado. But given that Iowa State's now coming off a loss and they need to bounce back and they have that added motivation, it's really hard to pick against them here. Such a solid team needing the win. I'm going to go Iowa State. I'm just going to hope that's right, I guess. Not getting too brave yet. My only upset so far has been Missouri winning against Bama. I guarantee you're not going to see too many people say that, and that might be a good thing if I'm wrong. So, big game here. Probably the game of the week. You got Indiana at Oregon, and Oregon suddenly needs this win a lot more for their resume because, their best win is Penn State, and now Penn State lost to UCLA, so yikes. Indiana, they have a huge win over Illinois, beat them by 53, if I haven't mentioned that enough already today. They got a solid win over Iowa. In my eyes, Indiana has the better resume. I've got Indiana at 3 and Oregon at 7. The AP has it reversed. So, if we were to do power rankings, I would have Oregon high. I've already gone on record saying that they would be my objective national champion pick. My biased pick is Georgia. I'm going to take Oregon in this game because it's at home and I think they're the better team. If it were at Indiana, I might take them. But on my personal belief that Oregon is the best team in the nation this year, I'm going to say that they are able to outplay them at home and they get the win. Dante Moore is going to have a pretty good day against the Indiana defense. Fernando Mendoza, he's got a tough challenge awaiting him in Oregon. I think he's going to have some plays and he's going to keep it close, but I think this is a game where Oregon just pulls away late. They got too much talent and they're going to separate. Another interesting game after that, though, it's Oklahoma at Texas. Big rivalry game. Red River, man. A lot of this will depend on the health of John Mateer. I am assuming he's going to miss this game. I think that is the common expectation. If he plays in this game, I'm hands down taking Oklahoma. I believe they are the better team overall, and I don't think Texas has an offense right now. As I've said, Arch Manning is just straight up a bad quarterback. That's just how it is. It's unfortunate, but it's true, and he needs to stay in college another year to develop. If John Mateer misses this game and Oklahoma has to trust their backup quarterback, it gets more interesting because Texas, while they're unranked and their offense is a joke, they have a very good defense, usually at least. They didn't play very well last week, but they generally have a very good defense, so that can keep the game close. And it is a rivalry game. This game is always kind of weird. The underdog usually puts up a good fight. I am going to go with Oklahoma here. I think either way, no matter which quarterback plays, they're just the better team. And I don't see Texas scoring much on this very good Oklahoma defense. So I think regardless of which quarterback plays, if they can just get to 20 points, that should be able to win them the game. And I'm going to say that they can do that. So give me Oklahoma upsetting Texas. Because, by the way, Texas is the favorite in this game. I don't know how, considering how good Oklahoma's been so far and how they're a top 6 team according to the AP poll, and Texas is unranked and they've looked bad all year. But Texas is the favorite, not even because of the backup quarterback likely being the starter in this game. Even if John Mateer was the quarterback in this game, Texas is still the favorite. It's crazy, but it is what it is. I'll take Oklahoma here. Notre Dame against NC State. I'm going to take Notre Dame. They're on a rampage right now. Win this game, and you're probably going to be in my rankings this week. And Notre Dame fans can be happy with that. They were not happy with me this week. NC State, with respect, you're just an average team at best. You shouldn't be able to win at Notre Dame, but crazier things have happened. Tennessee taking on Arkansas. I think this Arkansas team was feisty early in the season. Then Memphis made a big comeback against them. Ole Miss, they won a close game against them. And then Arkansas basically just gave up against Notre Dame is what it looked like, allowing 56 points. Just a huge, huge loss there. We'll see how Arkansas looks after the coaching change. We just witnessed UCLA make a coaching change and then upset Penn State. So there is precedent here this season for that happening, a bad team making a coaching change and then upsetting a ranked team. I don't see it here. At Tennessee, Neyland Stadium, very tough environment. Arkansas shouldn't have the talent to win this game. I think they can keep up because Taylon Green is an outstanding quarterback. If you want to turn this game on just to see him play, I wouldn't blame you. But I think Tennessee's offense is going to put up a ton of points, and Arkansas just isn't going to keep up. So give me Tennessee at home. Very intriguing game here. Number 5 for the AP poll, Texas A&M taking on Florida. Florida coming off that win over Texas. I think Texas A&M is much better than Texas this season. Florida could win this game. I mean, if DJ Lagway plays well and Dallas Wilson at receiver plays well again, and the defense contains the Aggies' offense, yes, this could be an upset. And I do think this will be a close game. I think Florida is improving now, and Dallas Wilson joining the team last week definitely helps their offense, but Texas A&M should be able to win at home. If it were in the Swamp, I might go with the upset. I'm going to take A&M at home, though. Marcel Reed, fantastic quarterback, should be able to score points against this defense, at least do more than Arch Manning did. Florida's offense, I don't think they're going to keep up here. It'll be a close, ugly game, but Texas A&M pulls away. So give me the Aggies at home. USC against Michigan. USC is actually the favorite in this game. I don't really know how, because they've not shown anything to justify that. I guess it's based on the talent they have alone, but we do this every year with USC, it feels like, under Lincoln Riley. They got all this talent, and they don't put it together. USC already has one loss. They took a loss to Illinois, an Illinois team coming off a 53-point defeat at the hands of Indiana. So not happy with that loss for the Trojans. Michigan, meanwhile, looks like a very solid team. They're playing good football. I'm going to take Michigan here, and I feel fairly good about that. I could see the upset happening. Jordan Mayava having a great year. I think that's his name, Jordan or Jaden. Apologies, USC fans. I've not watched you a ton this year. But their quarterback's been elite this year, one of the best in the nation. If he balls out against Michigan, there's a good chance they could win. But I think Michigan's stingy defense is going to be able to keep them in check. And I think that their offense is going to be able to score, because Michigan likes to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to do that against USC and kind of control the game. So give me Michigan on the road. Ah, man. Georgia at Auburn. A night game of Jordan-Hare. I've said for the past couple of weeks, this is one that scares me. I know it's a trap game. Kirby knows it's a trap game. Every Georgia fan knows this is a trap game. I mean, we got Ole Miss coming next week, I believe. That's a huge game. Auburn, we've seen them play elite at Jordan-Hare in the past. We've seen them upset teams at Jordan-Hare, usually us or Alabama, in fact. They've not beaten us in a long time, and it feels like they're going to do it either this year, next year, sometime in the near future. It's bound to happen. That being said, I'm not going to pick against my dogs. And this year, I feel like this isn't the Auburn team that would beat us. I mean, they got wow, I was going to say the wrong name. Their quarterback. Dude, what is his name? It is eluding my mind right now, but he's just not been very good. He's been able to run the ball. He just can't throw it very well. I don't believe that they're going to exploit our young secondary. Like, that's our main weakness on defense. Our secondary is young and they make mistakes. We saw it against Tennessee. We saw it against Alabama. Although they played much better in the second half. We saw them struggle in that game. I don't think Auburn has the quarterback to exploit us there. I think they have good receivers, very good receiver group, but their quarterback, I am sorry, I cannot remember his name for some reason. This never happens. I cannot remember his name, but their quarterback has just not been good throwing deep to his receivers. He overthrows or he underthrows, or he just doesn't have time to throw because his offensive line is terrible. Our defensive line, we haven't been getting after the quarterback as much in the past. We don't have a Jordan Davis, a Jalen Carter, a Nolan Smith type of player on that line right now, but it is still very talented overall, and we should be able to beat up on their offensive line, just like every other team basically has done so far. So I imagine it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be the type of game that's close through 2 or 3 quarters, but then we pull away late. It's an ugly game. The internet gets talking about an upset, but we get the job done. Georgia wins at Jordan-Hare. Again, I don't feel super great about it because it's at Jordan-Hare. It's a night game. The magic happens there, but I'm going to trust my dogs to get the job done. And we'll move on here. Kansas at Texas Tech. I'm putting Tech on upset alert here, and that's not something I'm going to do a whole lot. I've already said I think they could win out, and they have the chance to be a Big 12 team who can actually win a playoff game. I think they have the talent to do that. I also think Kansas is a very good team when their quarterback is healthy, and right now he is. They've already got 2 losses, which surprises me a little bit. I think they have the offense capable of scoring on the Red Raiders defense to make it interesting. No team has had that so far. No team that Tech has faced has had that so far. I think Kansas does. I think they have the potential to make it interesting, so just keep an eye on it. Don't be too surprised if it happens, because Kansas is a good team. I'm going to take Tech in this game, though, because I think that their offense is going to be able to score more easily than Kansas's offense is going to be able to score. They're the more complete team for sure. I'm going to take the Red Raiders at home as well. I feel fairly good about it, but again, just, opening up excess tabs there. Don't need to check out Texas Tech's page. I'm going to take the Red Raiders here, and I feel fairly good about it. But again, Kansas is feisty. Got an offense there, so keep an eye on it. Next up, you got LSU against South Carolina. LSU at home here. They've been a tricky team because their defense looks really good, but their offense does not. Their quarterback has definitely disappointed. Wow, who does that sound like? Texas. Exactly like Texas. Yikes. Yeah, I don't feel good about LSU, but I also don't feel good about South Carolina. I had a bad feeling about them in the offseason. I just didn't trust that they had enough around Lenore Sellers on offense. And so far, that's kind of looked like the case here. They've got 2 losses already. Lost to Vandy, lost to Mizzou. LSU, hypothetically, is more talented than those 2 teams. You would think LSU should win this at home, and that's going to be my pick. I mean, I would love to go with the upset here, but and I'll be rooting for South Carolina here because I like Sellers and I want LSU to be exposed as the frauds that they are, in my opinion. But I'm gonna take LSU in this game. I think they're just the better team. They should be able to score enough to stay ahead of South Carolina. I don't think their offense will do too much against this defense. They just don't have enough outside of Sellers. So I'll take LSU. Hello, Husker Nation. Hey, if you still want to send that in, because I'm gonna edit this separately and make a video from it. That was kind of my intention. So if you want to edit it, if you want to send it in before tomorrow, you can do that still, and we'll work it in. Up to you though, no pressure. Yeah, up to you. I usually do the stream on Tuesdays, and moving forward, I'm going to try to do it on Mondays, because I'm going to try to do my reactions to the games on Mondays, so still kind of going with the flow and figuring this out, how exactly this should look. But yeah, if you want to send in that prediction, you're more than welcome to, and I will edit it in. Yeah, moving on, because we've only got 2 more games to pick here. I guess I need to scroll down, and I have needed to scroll down. You guys haven't been able to see that. That is my bad. Whoops. So on my screen, I see all the games, but I forgot to scroll down so that you can see it on the stream. But we've got ranked BYU undefeated taking on 1-loss Arizona. This is definitely a tricky game here. You could see BYU on upset alert here. Arizona, I mean, they've not been bad. They've just they got blown out by Iowa State a couple weeks ago, but otherwise they're taking care of business. Noah Fifita overall has played very well at quarterback. I don't trust this Arizona team, though, to pull off this upset. I think BYU is good enough to be able to win this game and keep their undefeated season alive, so I'm going to take them. Yeah, man, I'm being really boring here. I'm just picking all the favorites aside from one stunner early in the day. I'm sure one of these is going to be wrong. I'm sure there's going to be an upset I just haven't picked. Man, last game of the day here. It's the night game. I'm probably going to stay up and watch it so I can get my rankings done, because this is going to affect my rankings. It is Arizona State taking on Utah. Utah favored in this game, weirdly enough, despite Arizona State playing better football overall than Utah and being ranked instead of Utah. Always weird when that happens, in my opinion, but I don't know. I could see it happening. Utah is a very good team. We've talked about that. Arizona State, I believe, is a pretty good team. We've talked about that. I'm going to take Arizona State here. I just think they're better. And I don't have much more to say beyond that. I just think they're the better team, and they're going to get the job done. I don't trust Utah to be that good. I think in the Big 12, the hierarchy is Texas Tech, Arizona State, and then a cluster of teams beneath them. That includes Iowa State, TCU, Baylor, Cincinnati, and then Utah is somewhere in that cluster as well. So that's kind of how I view it. It's Texas Tech, and then Arizona State, and then this huge cluster of teams. Everyone else kind of lumps Arizona State in that cluster of teams. I think they're just a bit better than them. But that's just my take. I will take Arizona State here, and that will do it for my predictions. I picked mostly favorites here in terms of the rankings. The only upset that I've picked here in terms of rankings is Missouri over Bama. So you would think I'm in for a good week here, or we're looking at complete and utter chaos. I could see it going either way. I went 12-3 last week. Hopefully I can do just as well this week. Picked 18 games today. We will see what happens. And I will be, and when I edit the video, I will be making a Nebraska prediction as well after Husker Nation makes his. So I'll hold off on that for now. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about it right now. Oh man, I'm sorry, Midnight. You said haters gonna hate a few minutes ago. No, I'm sorry. That's not cool. That's not cool. That's so bad, so egregious on my part. I would understand if you just unsubscribed in this instant. I would get it. I would be sad, but I would understand. That's how bad that is. I'm so sorry. Oh, I heard she has a new album out. Haven't listened to it, but overnight everyone was talking about it, and I'm just like, I'd rather talk about football, but okay, internet. Man, very interesting stuff here today. Got over an hour-long stream here. We did my reactions, AP ranking reaction, and then my own rankings, and here are my predictions. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully I didn't say anything too dumb. I've had a recent habit of mixing up my words on stream, so hopefully I didn't do that tonight. We'll see how my predictions look. I'm going to try next week for the college football fans here. I'm going to try to get this stream done on Monday instead so that I can react to the game sooner to them happening and then have more time to make videos from the stream to air out throughout the week. So next week it'll probably be a Monday stream. It will be early enough so that it does not coincide with Monday Night Football, of course, because sometimes we really care about that and we'll commentate. TBD on that, though. But yeah, that's all I got for today, so thank you to everyone who stopped by. I know we had Daniel here, Midnight here, Husker Nation here. If you miss any of the live stream, I will be making videos from it. Most likely just the predictions video. We'll see if anything else comes from this. It kind of depends. I'll go back and watch it and see if anything deserves to be edited down. We'll see. Yeah, Daniel, I'm still alive. I had a lot to go through, man. Big day, or big week in college football this past week, and a big week coming up. A lot to cover, man. Taylor Swift is football, at least according to the NFL. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, look, my take on that is I'm tired of hearing about her, but I'm also glad that it's brought in so many new football fans. I think that's great. I'm not here to gatekeep our sport. Let's share it. Let's get all these new fans. So, love that we're getting all the new fans in here. I just wish we weren't talking about Taylor Swift nonstop. It's gotten better, though, as time goes on, but yeah. But yeah, I think we'll call it a night here. Thank you to everyone who showed up. Thank you to those of you who watched in silence and were lurking. We appreciate the lurkers as well. All the comments here. Midnight, Husker Nation, Daniel, you guys were here. We are going to have our future content. We're going to have our NFL predictions out sometime tomorrow. I think Daniel may or may not have a short coming out sometime tonight as well. And I'll have videos from this stream coming out throughout the week. I'm sure at least a predictions video. We are getting closer to 300 subscribers, so we're working hard. We're trying to get there. We appreciate all the support and help we can get. So thank you to everyone who has joined us on this exciting journey. Everybody, enjoy your night. Enjoy your week. I'll see you all for the next one. Take care. Good night.